next up, we have Nana, who is a senior HubSpot specialist at Avidly. She's going to be speaking to us about the Service Hub and how we can get the most out of that, and some of the new features that it's got now, because it's grown a lot. But I'm sure Nana will tell us all about that.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and thanks for the introduction. Yes, let me just share my screen and we'll get started. There we go. All right. So, yep, I just wanted to kind of tell you guys a bit about the HubSpot Service Hub and what it can do for your business. So just a quick note, I will be going through sort of what is Service Hub, some examples of some use cases, and then sort of talking about the features or elements within HubSpot Service Hub, some integrations, and then we'll go through some questions you can ask yourself when trying to decide whether Service Hub is for you and for your business. So for those of you who've been using HubSpot, you know that it started with the Marketing Hub. There's been a lot of development in Sales Hub. There's the CMS and some other features. And then Service Hub has also come in, and basically it's a customer service tool that you can use to sort of deepen your relationships with your customers. And there's also features within it that can also be used for other stages of the flywheel, like the attract and engage parts as well. But primarily it's kind of for the delight phase. As sometimes as marketers and as salespeople, we can tend to get into sort of these motions where we forget to really engage our existing customers. But a statistic that I always like to go back to is the fact that it can cost about 6 to 8 times more to acquire new customers than it is to keep your existing ones. So we definitely need to, develop that relationship and keep that going. So within Service Hub, you might be wondering, okay, so what are some use cases? Like, what can I use it for? Well, your typical things would be like your service or support tickets. So there are pipelines that you can use to sort of monitor that. But then there's also different things like education pieces or answering FAQs through the knowledge base. There's also the ability to do customer onboarding and your new hiring onboarding within that. So for example, I know one of the main issues I experience a lot of people having, for example, at the end of a sales journey is, well, how do I hand over a project to my delivery team, and then how do they also track the different stages of the onboarding process? Or when you have new hires, you might be wondering, how do I make sure that they feel kind of confident and have ownership in their own onboarding process? So that's definitely a place that you could use that for. There's also sort of interjecting that with project management. And I know some folks might say, well, we already use Asana or Monday or different systems, so why would I need Service Hub for that? Well, there are ways in which you can actually automate some of those systems and have them connect in with HubSpot as well. So we'll talk a bit more about that as we're going along. And then also kind of a typical one is having live chat or bots that you can use to build your to kind of engage with customers when they come and they're maybe asking questions, or again, like I mentioned in the attract and engage stage, there might be people who land on a page and they're not sure sort of where to go next. You could use a bot or something to sort of direct people to like a product page or an article in a knowledge base that makes them a bit more knowledgeable about what you're selling or an issue they're trying to resolve. So HubSpot has now kind of broken down this service tool into three distinct parts. So there's your help desk. That's kind of your the shared inbox that's been there with the conversations tool, where you can kind of have either bots managing that or having emails going into an inbox. You can kind of manage your agent presence. So do you have live chat, or do you have people who are routinely sort of going into your inbox and answering questions? You can manage that presence a bit more. There's conversation forwarding, knowledge base, that have existed before. And then there are also some newer tools like your customer portal, custom views, and then you also have your mobile inbox. So those all kind of come together to form a help desk that is both supposed to um, sort of empower your customer success team in helping your customers, but also kind of bring a bit of autonomy for your clients, especially those more advanced clients that might want to sort of figure things out on their own, or really come in and sort of manage a service process on their own. Then you have the omni-channel tools that look at tools like your chatbots and live chat, uh, the ability to connect your Facebook Messenger into HubSpot, the in-app chat feature, conversation intelligence that's not only now for your sales calls, but is also coming to service calls as well. There's also inbound calling, which is now in beta. It's a newer tool that's been developed, but in testing now. And then you also have the ability to do sort of post chat feedback as well. So if your client or prospect has had a chat with one of your customer service reps, they could get a really quick survey that comes up and says, how happy were you with this interaction? With three smiley faces, which I'm sure you guys have seen a lot on HubSpot's page. And then they can pick whatever they were feeling, and there can be follow-ups then based on answering sort of, were people happy with that? Were they displeased? And from there, you can actually have automations that continue that process. And then looking at the fully integrated CRM and automation, I just want to spend a moment here. So one of the big things that a lot of my customers, for example, are finding as a great advantage in using HubSpot these days is the fact that you have sort of everything in one place. So you can have your website in HubSpot, which helps with being able to track your analytics. You have your marketing tools within HubSpot, you have sales tools within HubSpot, and then now you also have all these service tools. So you can pretty much track the whole journey on one contact card or one contact record and be able to see, what are people looking at in terms of pages for us to see, okay, what are potential things we could upsell to them, or what are they having issues with? And that sort of information isn't only useful for what you're doing in terms of current interactions with customers, but it can actually go back again into your marketing, and you can use that as subjects that you write about in your content as well. So just really good tools to be able to use there. So what tools would these be exactly? Well, you have your ticket pipelines. So you can set up pipelines that fit sort of your different models. So when someone sends in a ticket, it can say, we received the ticket, we're working on it, send a receipt to the client to say, your ticket's been received and we're working on it. The next step could be, okay, now it's handed over to a technician. They're fixing whatever issue. And then it can go back to the customer success rep, who can then send the end result to the customer. And if anything needs to come back again, it just kind of moves through those ticket stages. But then at least at any point what's happening. And through the customer portal, your clients can also come in and see what the status is in real time as well. So yeah, there's also ticket automations that you can have in pipelines. There's customer feedback surveys. So HubSpot has some inbuilt ones. And then you also have sort of custom surveys that you can create now. And I know one of my customers was really excited about custom surveys. saying that she could finally put her SurveyMonkey subscription to rest. So I know there are lots of people who are extremely excited about that possibility. And then a new feature that's come up as well is your SLA or service level agreement tools. So now it's becoming even easier, for example, to be able to say, I want a ticket to be looked at within 24 hours, so that a response at least goes out to your customer to say, hey, we've received, we're looking at this and we're working on it. You should receive a response within X number of hours. That way, then everyone kind of also has sort of a standard for how long you should be taking to resolve issues, or at least if it can't be resolved within a set number of hours, make sure that you're keeping the customer up to date and engaged. And with all of these tools together, what's really exciting as well is being able to kind of look at different levels of analytics with this as well. So with, for example, having ticket pipelines and automations, that means you can actually pull some of the similar reports that you can on the sales level. So again, your average statistics based on, how much time is it taking for a ticket to close? How much time is it taking for a ticket to sort of be picked up and assigned to different people? Who's resolving most tickets? How efficient are they? And also how correct are they? So you can use maybe some of your more eager people to train those who are maybe lagging a bit behind as well. So there are lots of statistics, analytics that you could use to better your team as a whole. So just a bit more in-depth information, and I know we're a bit tight on time today, so I'll definitely go through some of the points, but I won't spend too much time on each post, so that at least it's a document you can come back to, look at, and if you need any help with sort of figuring out, well, we think we might want to set this or that up, there are lots of us on this call who would definitely be willing to help you out with that. So some old but great tools that have been in the Service Hub for a while is the shared inbox, which is a place that's really great to sort of streamline and centralize communications that are coming from your customers. And now it has a few different features. For example, you're able to sort of analyze your agent presence a bit more and have custom views. That makes it a bit easier for each rep to sort of customize processes to be able to see things in real time in ways that make sense to them. So for each of these tools as well, I've kind of put which level of HubSpot you need to have to be able to access them. So for example, the shared inbox is free, is on the free HubSpot portal, while custom views and agent presence, you need to have Pro Plus, and for some, you might have to have Pro Plus and a seat as well. Now the inbox is also available on mobile. So if, for example, you're at a conference or something like that, and maybe people are sending in requests wanting to know which booth to come see you at, or people just kind of want to be able to still answer some responses on the go, you can do that through the app now, which I know a lot of people are very excited about. The knowledge base is an oldie, but definitely a goodie. I think from what I've experienced, there are lots of people who have had Service Hub who haven't been tapping into this. But I know that whenever we're all looking for answers on how to resolve certain things quickly within HubSpot, or we're looking at how to use something, that the knowledge base is a great tool. And it's a tool that can also be connected to any of the bots that you're using for people to kind of have that searchable bar to be able to find specific articles as well. So it's definitely something that people should tap into more. And remember as well that with the knowledge base, you can either make that information closed to only your current clients or people who can access that with a specific password you've created, or you can make it public, and that makes it also searchable in Google, which makes your business rank higher as a thought leader, which, Ismo mentioned earlier is very important as well. So there are different ways to use that. So have no fear in testing it out. And, HubSpot has a really well built out one that we can use as an example as well. So always great to kind of check how they're using it and what you can do. And a great tool or a great result of the knowledge base that I always like to point out is if the popularity of certain articles, it can give your content team, for example, ideas on, well, people have a lot of questions about this or this topic. Maybe we should be creating more content about it generally on our website and on our blogs as well. So just gives you a lot of things to be able to tap into there.
Sorry, Nana. Questions come through about the ticketing system. So if a company is using a non-HubSpot ticketing system, is Paul right in thinking that a HubSpot marketing CRM user could use the surveys tool without subscribing to the Service Hub module?
No, you'd have to have Service Pro to be able to use, or no, Service Starter to be able to use the surveys. So it has to be a combination of those two. But there are integrations into HubSpot as well for a few different tools, which I'll mention a bit more as we're going along as well. So it shouldn't be inhibitive if you're using another platform and you still want some of that information to be able to come through. But you wouldn't be able to use like the surveys at the end of that tool's like chatbot or anything, if that's maybe what you're asking. At least not at the moment, but HubSpot is always developing, so that is something that could come up later.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yes. So yeah, just quickly on the customer portal, which is a newer tool within HubSpot as well. So for that one, you're able to, so it's a locked or login tool where customers can log in and see the status of their tickets, respond back to you with more information, screenshots of cases. It can also be like a place to store sort of your onboarding with clients, that sort of thing. So there's lots of potential for how that can be used and built out. And yeah, it's a newer tool that's come up, but a lot of people are very excited about that one. And it just gives, again, more advanced customers, especially sort of the ability to have ownership of their tickets that they've sent in. And just, also gives you as a company the ability to maybe put some onboarding pieces in there so they can see like, okay, we're on this stage of our onboarding. This is what's needed in next steps, that sort of thing. So again, really great tool to be able to tap into. So very excited about that one as well. Then you have your more omni-channel service benefits, where you have things like the live chat or chatbots. And I know people use different combinations of those, but those just really help you to be able to either answer your customers in real time, or again, like using bots to sort of direct people to different sides of the website, depending on maybe how they answer different questions. So really great tools there to sort of keep people on your page, but also help them navigate the buyer's journey in ways that, makes the most sense based on experience. So for example, if someone is a specific persona, you can help them sort of figure out answers to different questions along the buyer's journey through bots. There's also the possibility to integrate your Facebook Messenger into HubSpot, so you can have conversations going straight into your shared inbox and having them answered there as well. And then there's also the post-chat feedback. So again, at the end of a survey, it would pop up with the 3 smiley faces, and it would ask like, how did you find that interaction? And then based on the answer, you can ask if there's any ways things could be improved, or what they like the most about the interaction, and be able to use that to, for example, gauge the effectiveness of your customer reps, or just sort of how well your chatbot is working. Then there's inbound calling, which again, I mentioned is in beta at this point. But it's a tool that will help you be able to receive calls directly onto your own device with a phone number. Right now, since it's in beta, it's only available in the US, Canada, and the UK. But it should be available in more places as we're going along as well. Then we have call intelligence or conversation intelligence, which is a really great tool that can be used to sort of record conversations, and see, areas of improvement within the conversations, or where maybe processes might trip up the most, or where there's really a lot of excitement building around certain products, and stuff like that. So the tool can actually listen out for, are there specific keywords that are coming up, so that you can, for example, see, oh, our customer seems to be really excited about these and these tools that we have, but we haven't really sold to them in any way. And based on how their growth is going, maybe this is a service or a product that we should be offering to them. So really great tool, and it's available with a lot of the integrations that you have in HubSpot. Just some examples. So HubSpot's calling tool, but also Zoom, Just Call, Kixi, and some other tools as well. But this is on enterprise level. I just wanted to make sure to clarify that. Then there's the ticket pipelines. So again, as I mentioned before, you're able to kind of split, receive tickets first of all, and then split them into different sort of stages in the pipeline. So if you wanted to have, ticket received, sent to technician, working on solution, sent back to rep, ticket closed, or something like that in your pipeline, you could do that very easily, and then have that be a process that you're able to track. And with this as well, I like to do a lot of automations for different clients. So for example, when a ticket is received, I like to just shoot out an email with a ticket ID and say, hi, your ticket's been received. We should be able to give you an answer within X number of hours. And then we look at the SLA and we say, how many hours have we put down as a response time? So based on that, we send the response, and then we can start working on things. And then if there's, for example, a question we have for the customer, I've had, for example, a waiting for a customer spot in the pipeline as well, so that we know, okay, we're waiting for an answer from them. So that's why this ticket has been stalled. So at any point you can do that, or if a ticket is past the due time that we've set for the SLA, we can, for example, shoot a message out to the customer service rep and say, hey, this ticket has passed its time in a specific stage. Do you want to follow up with the technician or the customer to see where sort of bottlenecks have been happening as well? So lots of great automation tools that can be set up there. The same thing can be done as well, again, with the ticket pipelines, but you just call it something else, and it becomes your onboarding pipeline or your new hire pipeline. And then you can say, kickoff meeting with client, setting up HubSpot portal, for example, would be one of my pipelines. Setting up sales pipeline, having sales training or marketing training. So all these things are in a pipeline, and I can use workflows to automate Asana as well with tasks based on that on each stage. So as we go into a new stage, it just auto populates whichever tasks I need to be able to follow in Asana. And then once those are done, it kicks back and says, okay, we can move on to the next stage. So lots of examples of things that we can do with automation and pipelines. And then again, the new tool SLA just kind of helps you be able to set agreements for what time should we have for time to first reply, time to close. Yeah, just making sure that we have agreements in place for all of those different things. And then we have the feedback surveys. So there are different kind of feedback surveys, for example, that HubSpot has pre-built. So you have your net promoter score, you have your customer satisfaction, and also different feedback that you can have. So I'm not sure if you can see the picture in here, but once someone picks a specific smiley face here, you can follow up with a question that says, okay, I'm sorry that you weren't too happy with your call. Could you give us some feedback on what we could do to improve? And you can make that optional so that people are not too upset, if they don't want to give a response but can't go on to the next step, for example. But I know there are people who definitely would like to give feedback to maybe improve processes. So it's good to have that option so you can gather some qualitative info as well on these. And then what people are finding the most exciting is your custom surveys. So the ability to be able to create a survey using different kinds of questions. So for example, maybe you want to know a net promoter score, but you also want to get some feedback on, how are some ways in which the interaction between your clients and their managers or project managers can be improved. They might want some information, for example, on what are some new big things that they're looking at in the company, and how can your team help them. So there's many different questions that you can set up, and a new cool tool that's also come up that's in beta testing right now. So if anyone is interested in testing that, let us know. But is the ability to have progressive or adaptive branching in your surveys. So if someone answers a question in a specific way, you can then send them on a different path. So for example, if you ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with our services? And they say 5, you can say, okay, for those who answered 5, we want to send them on this different branch. So they can answer, is there something we could be doing better? What is the one thing that you're the most disappointed with, and what's the one thing you're the most happy with? Whereas those on the top, we could ask them, for example, okay, on a you set a 10, why are you happy with our services? And for example, would you like to be a reference for us? If so, how can we contact you? So really great addition to the tool there. And then with your service analytics, so you're able to track different metrics like, for example, how are we doing on NPS scores right now? Or what's the average wait time for your chat? What's the average time to close? What's your support volume? Is there anything that can be done to, increase it or decrease it? Do you get higher support volume at different times of the year? And if so, what can you do to sort of bolster your business at those times? So lots of information there that you can use to sort of improve your processes. Yes, then I wanted to mention some integrations that HubSpot has. So in the app marketplace, there's different apps. There are hundreds of apps that you can use there, if not thousands at this point. So if there are certain tools that you've been using so far that you want to integrate with Service Hub, you definitely can. So there's Intercom, Jira, Zendesk, SurveyMonkey, Asana, Monday, Trello, just to mention a few. But also if an app you're wanting to use doesn't exist currently, you can use HubSpot's Operations Hub to literally build any sort of customized integration that you need. Or you can also use the Zapier tool to kind of build a bridge between whatever tool that is and HubSpot as well. So definitely do not despair if you don't see an app that you use. But there's also definitely no reason to say, oh, but I'm already using something else. If there's a feature within HubSpot that you want to use, that maybe you can't marry the two, because there's definitely possibilities. And a lot of the apps are either built by that business themselves. So like Trello might build an app, or SurveyMonkey, or HubSpot might build it in collaboration with them. And so you can be very sure that those tools kind of suit the needs that you have as well. So any questions so far before I move forward to asking the big question of, is Service Hub for you?
Okay, so there is one question that's come through from Amy. And that question is, can you take a minimum number of seats on sales and get access to surveys for all contacts in the CRM?
Currently, no. There are some tools that can be available across the platform. So there's, for example, ways in which you can use like the tickets pipeline together with workflows if you have like Marketing Hub and stuff like that. But at this point, no, not for the surveys. But I know that some of these integrations might be coming at a later date as well. So for now, no, but definitely could be something in the future. And I say that confidently because there have been sort of these changes made over time with different tools as well. So I know that if there's enough of a request, that will definitely be something that HubSpot will look into.
Just off the back of that comment there as well, there is the HubSpot community. And if you go in there, you can request things that you think would be useful for you as a company. And if you request something and then get other HubSpot users to upvote that, that's how HubSpot then decide priorities for new releases and things like that. So it's worth having a look at.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for that, Emily. Okay, so some questions. Or if you're asking any of these questions, then it means that some part of Service Hub might be worth looking at for you. So some of the questions I like to ask, for example, is, are you currently looking for a way to improve how you handle customer service? So, when you get requests or tickets from emails, for example, or from any kind of inquiry that comes in, how are they typically recorded? Does it create a ticket or something that's very easy for you guys to handle right now? Or are you looking for a way to sort of automate that? And in addition to that, when you get an inquiry, do you feel like you get all of the information that you need, as in all the properties or specs that you need to be able to fulfill that? Because if not, you could, for example, have a form on your website that people fill out, and that will have some requirements of, if you need help, would like you to fill in this and this information. So it makes it a bit easier for us to be able to assist you. And that makes it a lot easier as well to be able to track. So definitely, if those are questions you've been asking yourself, might be worthwhile looking into this tool. In addition, if you've been finding it difficult to keep track of your different onboarding processes for clients, that might also signal a need for this. Or if you find yourself having to answer a lot of FAQs, even though you have the responses kind of written somewhere, a knowledge base might be useful for both your clients and your prospects. If you're not sure sort of how your interactions are going with your clients right now, some of those surveys might be very useful for you as well. If you're looking for ways to sort of make your processes more automated for efficiency, let's say wanting to maybe have HubSpot be more involved in your integration or in your product management, then this could be a tool for you. Or if you're just struggling in general with reporting what your customer service team is doing, then having some of those processes within Service Hub could also make it a lot easier for you to keep track of. So That's about it. I just wanted to kind of leave the user cases up for if anyone had any other questions that might bring up. Otherwise, that's it for me.
Thanks, Nana. Yeah, give it a couple of seconds, see whether anyone puts any questions into the chat. I think we addressed a couple of them as they came up throughout. So the other thing I've added into the chat was there's a great blog that HubSpot did on the types of surveys and HubSpot Service Hub. So I've added a link to that blog into the chat. And I have also added in a link to where you can actually request new features that you think would be useful for your company as well.
Awesome.
Seb's just had to jump off, but that's okay.
And you can ask questions afterwards as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Anyone's got any questions, they can come back to me and I can ask Nana for us.